Hi, Henry Haddad, lawyer in Los Angeles, handling immigration cases and business cases for over 34 years. Helped many families from all over the world come to the U.S., establish residency, whether they came for education initially or to unite with family members or to work for an employee or to start a business. Uh, we have helped many families. Today's topic is the L-1 visa. Many people confuse the L-1 visa with multinational corporations. Obviously, we all know multinational corporations have offices all over the world, and the L-1 visa is meant to allow companies to have branch offices here in the U.S. But it's not just limited to multinational corporations. If you have a company, if you have a bakery, if you have a retail shop, you can also qualify for an L-1 visa. So let me go over some of the basic requirements for the L-1 visa. First, you have to have a foreign company, and the foreign company could be any legitimate company. Like I said, could be in retail, could be a high-tech company, could be a management company, whatever type of company you have. If it's legitimate in your country, it's been established for over a year, but more or less 3 years is about the right amount of time that you can show a history that the company is in operation, the company is producing revenues and so forth. So one is a foreign company that's been established legitimately in the home country. It has all lawful licenses, permits, pays taxes, audits, financial documents. All these things are required to show that you have a legitimate company. You have to have sufficient revenues. If your company is producing a negative profit year after year and not producing sufficient revenues, and now you want to open a branch office in the U.S., your application will be denied. So think about sufficient revenues you're creating that allows you to open a branch office in the U.S. That's the whole idea. You have a company, you have an idea, a retail shop, a business, you're operating in the home country successfully, and you want to come to the U.S. to test the U.S. market. So to do that, you have to show these things. Sufficient revenues, sufficient employees. It can't be a mom and pop operation. It's got to be more than that. The number of employees is not set in hard stone, but we're talking about 10, 12 people, 12 employees as a minimum. That shows that you have a medium, small company that wants to transfer its ideas here in the U.S., test the U.S. market. That's important. You'll be transferring an executive or manager. It can't just be any employee for this purposes. There are other types of L1s that allows people with skill, technical expertise to be transferred, but for the purposes of today's presentation, we're talking about an executive or manager who's going to come to the U.S. to execute the business plan, to execute the operation in the U.S., and to manage people. The idea is not to come to the U.S. to be the cook of a restaurant, to be the chef, to be the host of the restaurant, but to come to the U.S. to be the executive or manager who's going to put together a team to create this restaurant that you have successfully been operating in your home country. And the executive or manager must have at least 1 year experience with your company. And you show that by payroll, invoices, salaries you've been paying this person, payroll stubs, all these things have to be shown. And you have to have a business plan. Why do you want to come to the U.S.? Why do you think the U.S. would be a good place to have your subsidiary or branch office? What is your idea? So all these things are things about your company that's already in existence, operating in your home country successfully. So now we shift to the U.S. What are you going to do in the U.S.? Well, you're going to establish a company in the U.S. You're going to be the majority owner if you're going to partner with somebody else. Many small companies don't know much about the U.S. market. They need somebody here to get things going for them, so they partner with that person. As long as the foreign company owns at least 51% of the stock or partnership with a person in the U.S., that's fine. You can be 100% owner, and you can come here and do things without a partner, but I'm just saying, if you have a partner, you have to be the majority owner. You have to have an office and location. Again, it cannot be, I have a plan to come to the U.S. and it's just on paper, give me the L1 visa and let's see what happens. You have to have a commitment. The commitment at the basic level is establishing a company, showing majority ownership, having an office and location in the U.S., having a feasibility plan or a study. Here's why we think our concept, our menu, our food, our baked goods, our shoes, our high-tech solution or innovation, how that's going to play out in the US, and here's why we think it's going to succeed. And then the company in the US has to be operating in related activities as your home country. So if you're selling food in your home country, you're not going to come here and sell shoes, at least not initially, but you're going to be selling food. You're transferring your knowledge of success in your home country to the US. The L-1 visa is issued initially for 1 year to help you establish your plan, establish your presence in the US, and then after that, you're given a 2-year extension. If you can show that everything you said you're going to do, you're going to do the first year. Nobody expects a company to be successful the first year, but if it is, that's great. If it isn't, as long as you've been on track to create and establish an operation in the US, you should get an approval for an extension. And then once you get the extension, you can continue getting extensions 2 years at a time, and so on, as long as you have a business in operation. What's good about the L-1 visa is that at some point in the future, if the US operation, the US company you've established, requires someone here on a full-time, someone with knowledge from the foreign country that they need here on a full-time basis, the L-1 applicant, the manager or executive, can apply for permanent residency through the US company. It's fast-tracked under our laws, because now we're saying, look, we're operating the company here in the US and we can't do without this manager. And there's no one else here in the US who knows about our recipe, who knows about the processing of our foods, of our tech, high-tech solutions, whatever it is that we're doing. So we need this manager here on a permanent basis. After the extension, then you can apply for permanent residency. The L-1 visa is good for you and your family, and the family consists of wife and children under 21. They're allowed to come to the US, and after they come to the US, your spouse can apply for a work permit on her own, but that's the topic of another discussion. But the L-1 visa has been utilized by many small to medium-sized companies. It's not just limited to multinationals, but you have to show the basic requirements, meet the basic requirements. And of course, meet the eligibility requirements for all non-immigrant visas, no criminal background, no unlawful stays in the US, having sufficient funds in this company, legitimate funds, to invest in the US and operate the business. Thank you, and this is our presentation for today.